You look like a serial killer. Discussion. Has it ever been told to you? Okay, I get it, I'm weird, but it still hurts a bit when someone says this to me. I try my best to look both normal and look like myself. People told me this thing 3 times in the last months and is printed in my head now.
It's either this, or I get told I resemble a lifeless robot. People seem rather distressed before they get to know me. They also like to assume I hate them. Nah, I only hate myself.
Wow, the ableism.
What's even funnier is that I've known actual psychopaths, both men and women, but everybody loved them because they knew how to hide behind their charisma. Also, a few years ago, I learned that having a resting bee face is only acceptable in some individuals, so you can't win in this society.
I have a resting bee face and people assume I'm mad. I remember one time going into a store with my friend. He was looking around and I was looking at something. He asked me something and I just said okay without looking at him. Later on, my mom told me he thought I was mad at him and that I was being mean. Heaven forbid I'm not smiling 24/7.
I find it very odd if someone smiles all the time, and I can't trust them. While some people can be very sensitive when you don't respond in a certain way, but it's unreasonable for them to want you to be giddy all day long. What the F?
I actually developed resting happy face. People were nicer and more accepting of a smiling child than an angry one. And you can mouth breath through a smile unnoticeably, but I grew up being told I was different and would always have to work harder than others. That was just my lot in life. I had a university professor comment that I was the only art model in a couple decades of teaching that held the same smile for an hour pose.
Every time we have a new hire at the shop, that's the first thing I hear from them. So I just tell it like it is. I neither like or dislike you. Perhaps it is sometimes better to not tell people the truth.
The other kids always used to tell me I sounded like a robot in elementary school because I guess I spoke very monotone, but I never heard it. I feel this pain.
I always found it disheartening because I think I'm masking so well. My mom says it to me the most, which is extra hurtful.
The class clown decided to stand up in front of everyone in the class in 12th grade and talk about how I was so quiet. I was probably one of those types that would shoot up a school. I was literally a meek, regular-looking girl. I wasn't even diagnosed with anything at the time. The teacher told him, maybe it's that she doesn't want to talk to you. I felt so good for her saying that because, yes, I never was interested in talking to this person.
Wow, go teacher.
Someone said the same thing about me. It wasn't in front of a class, but a girl I shared a table with told me that if someone shot up the school, she would immediately know it was me. I wasn't diagnosed yet either, and looked like a 2000s female nerd character in a sitcom.
Sounds like they were paying way too much attention to you. Makes me think they had a crush.
If they were, F them. I hate people who show their interest by harassing or bothering the person they like, at least if they do it voluntarily. What makes them think that's a way to show a person you like them? Or what makes them think that will make the other person fall in love with them?
And how it's normalized from a young age. I remember in first grade when I had my first experience with bullying, they only physically pushed me once, but they were definitely mean to me the rest of the time. Lol. And of course everyone's response is that he probably likes me. Not the teacher. I don't remember her response. But even the other women in my life, interestingly enough. Boys are mean to girls they like just serves to normalize treating women shitty when they're not interested.
Of course it sucks and that behavior should be corrected, but it's a real thing.
I mean that's fair, but I feel like the more we casually say, oh, he probably just likes you as a first response when a girl is getting bullied, the more the behavior is encouraged. I think we should treat it like any other bullying and worry first about telling the kid that it's wrong. If they say they did it because they like the girl, then that conversation can come up in my opinion. But until then, the priority should be telling the girl she shouldn't be treated that way, and telling the dude that treating someone that way is wrong, or vice versa if the roles are reversed, goes for any genders.
Yeah, that's right. I just think that they aren't mutually exclusive. Also, if that behavior goes uncorrected, you're basically raising a child who thinks hurting their future partner is okay.
I think it's a big part of discrimination against neurodivergent people. Society's idea of a serial killer is someone who's different, someone who doesn't fit in easily, someone who masks. But experts say that serial killers are control freaks, people who sadistically enjoy having control over life and death. Actual serial killers are often charming and charismatic.
Also, the rare ones who weren't charming would purposely target marginalized people and outsiders.
Most serial killers target marginalized people. A lot of them target prostitutes, for example. The ones that catch the attention in the news, in example Ted Bundy, were the minority that targeted average people.
The funny thing is everyone always says serial killers seem so normal. They're great at superficial charm. That's the exact opposite of most autistic people.
Yeah, I can charm no one. There will be no serial. If there is a crime, my A is immediately getting caught.
Elle agreed with everything you said until the someone who masks part. At least in my mind, the stereotypical serial killer vibe is an anti-social loner who is angry at the world and doesn't try to fit in. That's not masking. Or it's not masking well anyway. Masking is supposed to make you look like you fit in for the most part. Even though it'll never fully work. But if everyone is noticing something, it's not masked.
Not really true. Watch any interview with a serial killer. The vast majority have the charm of a potato. Most of them are also loners and outsiders, though for entirely different reasons than autistic people.
My boss joked about me being a serial killer when they first found out I was autistic. I told them it was workplace bullying, so they shut up pretty damn quick. Liv also had customers at my workplace tell me I look like a miserable bastard. I'm 44, and I haven't given AS what other people think of me for 2 decades.
2 decades? Took me 3 decades to arrive at that point. Got the opposite problem. Apparently, I look extremely kind, friendly. It's just a different kind of curse.
Yeah, I guess being approachable means more people approach you, which can suck. I'm extremely kind and friendly with people. I'm comfortable with less than 10 currently, but I have resting B face most of the time, so people tend to stay away.
It led to some beautiful moments, like dancing with a wee autistic lassie at a gig and actually being someone who gets it, but then some less good moments, like having my night out interrupted by a woman who wanted to tell me about her dead husband. I am also kind, but having a night off is tricky. I sometimes wish I had resting B face. Even tried putting on an resting B face, but I can't keep a mask on for long.
Oh God, why do people do this to us? On top of having a calm, serene expression as my default face, I'll also have long hair and a beard, both well maintained, the result being that I've had some people come up and ask if I'm Jesus Christ himself, and then they trauma dump stuff like that.
Haha, that's kinda funny. When I had hair it was parted, and with a neat beard. Some of them thought I was a doctor. The waistcoat didn't help, I guess. You definitely win, though. Nobody has ever mistaken me for a religious figure. Yet.
Apparently, I look both kind and scary.
I'm 44 and I haven't given AS what other people think of me for 2 decades. That's the way to do it. I've realized that the 2 most important rules in Western society are 1. Be accepting of people who are different. 2. Be polite and considerate. When people mess these up, they are committing social transgressions. But another rule is that when people make mistakes, you let them know and don't hold it against them. People mess these first 2 up all the time, but you should only point one number 1 because that means you have to break number 2. Neurotypical people break social rules all the time. I think they are just less aware of it.
Absolutely. I've generally found that NTs, especially at work, are accepting of ND people as long as they act like they're not ND. The second you ask for accommodations or struggle in any way, both points go out the window.
Yes, don't really care anymore what others think about me. I'm not able to kill anyone even if I'd love to.
I am able to, for sure.
My father has been told this his entire life. It definitely is the undiagnosed autism with a touch of toxic masculinity. My friends were all terrified of him. He is a very tall and large man, but the serial killer comment was always because he isn't very expressive and has a very serious demeanor. It's his walk, how he interacts, how matter-of-fact he is. My extended family especially commented and ridiculed his lack of smiling. Yeah, he is definitely unhappy, but a big part of all this commentary was related to his autism. I get a less intense version of this personally. I more so get compared to a emotionless robot, just learning and healing from all of this. I am sorry you are going through this. People are incredibly ableist.
What kind of person says that? 3 times? That's so awful. And NTs say we're rude. The most I've been told is I have resting bee face or look really serious.
I once heard secondhand that a girl at my high school thought I was going to bomb the school. Shockingly, the school is still standing today. Some people are just mean.
I haven't been accused of killing Cheerios or Captain Crunch, but I can't count how many times people asked, "Are you okay?" or "Is everything okay?" Must be my resting angry face.
I've been told the opposite. That I look like a serial killer's prey. Not only did this dehumanize me, but it also states that if you are too friendly, you will end up in a ditch. Both assumptions are based on terrible portrayal of serial killers and spree killers as well as their victims in the media. To justify such horrible accusatory assumptions by looks only and even by behavior this specific person classifies as strange is unnecessary, hurtful, and spreads even more misinformation.
I am so sorry, but that is such a weird thing to say to someone you know. You kinda look like you'd get murdered, haha. Are you sure they're not a serial killer?
I'm telling this to myself. I have seen photos of me that creeped me out myself.
Me too. I hate looking myself in the eye in pictures and mirrors. Freaks me the F out.
I would get school shooter a lot in middle and high school.
Yeah, me too. But I think it's more of the things I said during those times. Like, I hate this if you nothing matters, I hate everyone, I want to kill you, insert any emoist words. Yeah, I was really kind of pessimistic during teenage years.
I was also originally diagnosed with Asperger's. In my adolescence, I was actually incredibly optimistic and cheerful and always trying to understand everyone's viewpoints because I was super into My Little Pony and really took the lessons to heart. But I think people got school shooter because of my flat affect.
Oh, so sorry people seeing you as threat. For what you said, I think you are such a good person with wonderful values. Hope people can see you as you are. As for me, welp, it never really affected me. I saw just as a joke, it probably was. I wanted to be with the emo guys of the school back then after all.
Why do you feel the need to dehumanize me like that? It's not mean, but when I've said it, their face goes blank like they just got owned LOL. Best thing I ever learned in therapy for dealing with the bullies. I'd gladly junk punch the holes that said you look like a serial killer for you. I'm 60 and really tall, so female bullying still happens to me. I get it. Sucks.
Yeah, I get it all the time. I'm really shy and don't want to upset anyone with unwanted attention. It's a socially acceptable way of expressing their insecurity by saying you're repulsive. It is meant to hurt you so they can feel less scared. It doesn't change, it's pathetic of them, but you shouldn't feel bad. I try to treat people like delicate glass now. It's worked out a lot better for me, even if I can't stand being around anybody.
I've been told so too, and it's seriously frustrating. But hey, it's really just insensitive people not thinking about what they're saying, so you shouldn't worry too much. Some people can't stay quiet, and that's just how it is. Keep your head high.
Just tell them that serial killers look like them, so they don't get caught.
So long as those people never get a chance to tell anyone else, you're gonna be fine.
Nobody has told me that I look like a serial killer. LMAO, that's weird.
Only from my mum as a joke.
I've been told I have the voice of a serial killer and the looks of a teddy bear. Or maybe it was the other way round. Either way, very confusing, haha.
I always like to respond. Exactly. So I'm the last person they would suspect dog chuckle, then walk away. My family have described me as sinister as F, which was sweet. Honestly, I'm anything but.
Damn it, I thought it wasn't noticeable anymore since prison.
That's anyway a ludicrous comment. Serial killers don't have a look.
They usually fit in well in society or the people around them. Even Manson just looked like a hippie. If they didn't blend it, they wouldn't get the chance to do their crimes. Look up Harold Shipman. Looks like a kindly old gentleman. Most prolific UK serial killer.
I was told I looked like the Unabomber once because I was walking fast to meet my kid.
I just ask what they think serial killers look like. Many serial killers are described as seemingly normal or even charming or kind by people who knew them.
Not serial killer, but I got told I look like a cult leader one time.
Yeah, I've been called serial killer or psycho, but to be honest, it doesn't bother me. I just laugh as I think it's funny. I probably look more like one when I lose the head over something and go on some rant, so perhaps that's why also.
Apparently I'm really quiet and people find it unsettling. I'm not exactly small, but people don't hear me moving about. Maybe it's my next career option. I may have to relocate as there's not much call for serial killers in my neck of the woods. I'm joking, before I'll end up on a watch list somewhere.
I was singing along to a song on the radio at work, and a coworker teased me about it in a friendly way. I thought we were cool until this. I said how much I liked the song, and that I even put it on one of my character playlists. He didn't know what that meant, so I started to explain about them.
I'm really into fandom stuff, and one of the things I do is when I like a character, we'll make a playlist of about 20 songs that I feel fit them. It could be bands I think they would listen to, lyrics that match up with their story, or just music that fits their general vibe. I get really into it. Too, I'll spend a few hours carefully curating it, picking just the right songs, and arranging them so they transition well one into the next. It's fun. It's a really fun hobby for me, combining both my love of fandom and my love of music. It is also one of the more innocent things you can do in fandom. Let's put it that way. Anyway, I didn't even get halfway through the explanation before the coworker interrupted me to say, "You seem like one of those people who would come in here with a machine gun and shoot everybody up." I don't know what made him say that. I don't know why he thought it was an appropriate thing to say at work to a coworker, or at all. I should have told a manager, but I'm not confrontational enough. It is quite possibly the most insulting thing anyone has ever said to me, and I promise we've been insulted a lot. And to say the least, we were not cool or friendly anymore after that.
People I didn't even know in high school called me either drug dealer or terrorist, and a teacher way back in elementary school was freaked out by my stare and said I looked like I wanted to kill her.
For me, it's the "you look like a drug dealer" like thanks.
Someone told me that once. I laughed and asked if it was my charm and charisma and ability to talk people into anything that made them think so. Then I said thanks because I didn't think I was any of those things. It was one of the times that people not being able to tell if I was being sarcastic or not came in handy.
I usually get told I look like a stoner. I don't smoke weed.
School shooter, although the way I dress at school definitely doesn't help. Serial killer. And what else? Oh, right, a robot.
I get called rude or cold a lot. It's upsetting, especially when I'm trying so hard to be welcoming to everyone. But people who truly know me always tell me that I'm a really good person and always come to me with their problems, which shows that they trust me to help them without judgment. So it's likely an issue on part of the judgmental people who call me cold or rude, because my body language and tone is a little off sometimes.
This may be a weird tangent, but have you ever considered an animation or acting class? Our facial expressions are often more subtle than people expect, so a little overacting can compensate.
MH, thank you, but I think that would be uncomfortable for me. I have social anxiety, and the thought of acting makes me shiver. Haha, never heard of animation classes, though. It has happened with old people and strangers that said I seem rude, and it doesn't happen super often, so I don't feel a need to fix it. I don't want to change myself, adapt just to fit in better with people that have no problem just saying mean things to strangers. I think they should stop judging some stranger right after saying hello.
They usually hit them with, "And you look like my victim profile."
Next time say, then don't pee me off.
Whenever people tell me I look like an emotionless robot, I like to count with a joke. Well, they say dress for the job you want usually gets a good response.
School shooter and serial killer definitely came up a bunch when I was younger, presumably just due to my poor masking skills. Either they improved enough in my adulthood, or people had better sense than to call that kind of us out, but I've heard it a lot less as an adult. My mum gave me a book about serial killers when I was in high school. I think she thought it was a joke, but I'm not really sure. Such a shame we didn't know what autism was. It's probably not great that these are the go-to descriptors.
That's a totally normal thing to tell someone, usually shuts them up.
Had a friend tell me repeatedly that I have a pedo stare. It always hurt. I'm just trying to live my life. Let me be, and perhaps don't compare me to something that profoundly hurts people for a lifetime. Happy to say they are no longer in my life. The sad irony being I experienced SA as a young teen.